we live?
We are.
All right, I'm trying to find it so I can watch.
Just go ahead and.
All right, hi everyone. We're going to give a couple minutes for people to get on, check it out. We're here live with professional disc golfer Will Schusterick. Will is a sponsored pro from Prodigy, as long as having his official pro shop store with us. Just a little bit about Will in case you don't know. So for some of our Ultimate community, he's a 3-time US DGC, which is US Disc Golf Champion. He won it in 2010 at 18, which was kind of a big deal. He's the youngest guy ever to do that. I'm sure Will doesn't get tired of hearing about himself. As we wait for people to catch on, fun story. The first time I heard of Will Schusterick was at the 2011 KC Wide Open. It was my first big tournament. I was just getting into disc golf. I was nerding out, getting to meet Ken Climo and all those people like that. We were playing Blue Valley, not quite the monster Blue Valley that's like 12,000 feet long, like the 9,000 feet version, which is still like double a normal disc golf course for you Ultimate players. And one of the guys in my card asked the spotter, one of our spotters, like, "Hey, what'd the pros shoot out here yesterday?" And like, "Well, some kid named Schusterick shot like a 45, which was like 11 under par at that course. Absolutely shredded it." And that's when Will kind of started to get big and climb up. So it was kind of cool to be there and listen to that story. So Will, where are you at right now?
I'm actually in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm at the Prodigy warehouse right now. I came down to do some work. I'm also renovating a Sprinter van that I just bought last week.
Nice. I assume for touring?
Yes, exactly. And I have a tournament this Saturday in Alabama, in Opelika, Alabama. I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly, but they invited me to come down to the Frostbite Open. And I was lucky that I didn't have anything going on. And I figured I've never played down there in that city, so I went down there and I'm going to go check it out.
Nice. So about how many tournaments you play in a year?
I'm typically in the 25 to 30 range. Probably 4 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago, I'd be closer in the 40 tournament range. There's a lot bigger tournaments nowadays, I think, compared to 3 to 4 years ago. So the 25 to 30 tournament range, I think, is really good to kind of hold back from getting too burnt out, and you can focus more on the quality of tournament compared to just playing as many as you want.
For sure, yeah. I remember looking at you and Nico's numbers a couple years ago, where like you were like 45, Nico was at 48, which when you think about it, there's 52 weekends in a year. So if you're playing 48 tournaments, that's most every single weekend.
Yeah.
All right, so we're starting to get a few people following on. So we are, again, live with Will Schusterick, professional disc golfer. For those of you that don't know, we at the Disc Store operate a pro shop for Will Schusterick, the official pro shop. We're going to quickly check out some of the stuff that you can get there. We'll bring it back in. Keep liking, sharing this video so we get more people on here. We're going to give away a bunch of the stuff that we have of Will Schusterick's personal stuff that we sell for him. And make sure you ask any questions you want to ask, and we'll try to get as many of those asked as we can. So just to go through some of the apparel we have this sweet polo that I'm wearing. It's got the Prodigy logo on the back, and then a little Will Schusterick logo on the front here. It's a really nice polo. It feels great. Great thing to play in. We've got a couple other shirt designs. This is the Will Schusterick logo, the newer one. Obviously the WS for Will Schusterick. It's a really nice dry fit shirt. You can get any of the apparel stuff customized with your PDGA number and your name if you want, which is pretty cool. And then we've got a couple of spot sub apparel stuff too, with the Schusterick logos, Prodigy logo. You can kind of see the American one in the back. Any and all of this stuff is available on our website. Just go to Disc Store, look at the Disc Golf tab, it'll pull down to Pro Shops at the bottom. You can click on Will's name and you can find any of this stuff. We also carry Will Schusterick logo PA3s and PA4s. So you can pick these up, putt with the same putters that Will does. And you can pick any of that up at our store. We're going to give away one of each of everything today, so keep liking, commenting, asking questions, sharing this with your friends. That's how you get entered to win. We'll give 6 or 7 things away throughout the video.
We're on Instagram.
Oh, we're also live on Instagram too. So that's the first time we've done this. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook. Will's live on Facebook. So it should be going out to a lot of different people.
What's
Much
up?
technology going on right now.
Let's go and give away something.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give away something now. Evan's going to pick me out a winner. We're going to give away the white name spelled out Schusterick shirt here. You can get it in whatever size you need. This goes to Michael Trevino. Michael Trevino, hit us up on Facebook and we can get this out to you as soon as possible. Keep asking questions, keep liking, and we will get some more stuff out. All right, so let's get into the interview. So you're obviously sponsored by Prodigy. What other sponsors do you have along with them?
Along with Prodigy, I'm also sponsored by a sunglass company that's called Rudy Project. They typically specialize in high-end biking sunglasses. I had a problem a few years ago where I actually got an eye infection from the water at the Fountain Hills course in Arizona. And I don't know if my eyes have actually ever fully recovered because I always feel like I've had either really bad allergies or my contacts have bothered me during tournaments to a point to where it's hard to focus without wanting to blink a whole lot. And I actually researched this Rudy Project company, bought a pair of sunglasses, and they have this clip-on that goes on the inside. And anybody who is close to me knows that I am basically legally blind. I think I like to put it that way because as soon as I take off my glasses or contacts, I cannot see or read anything unless it's right next to my face. So these glasses actually are really nice. I don't have to wear contacts anymore whenever I'm out onto the course, and my eyes don't get dry as well. So I actually just picked them up as a sponsor. Very well recommended sunglass company. I would recommend anybody go check them out. I'm also sponsored by a kind of like a health company called Amazing Grass, and they do a bunch of like healthy protein type stuff. That's plant-based protein. And at the beginning of last year, I actually stopped eating meat and really focused more on my diet to try to become better overall, like athlete and performance and stuff like that, and started to focus a little bit more and just picked up some sponsors along the way, and of course this store.
Alrighty, and along with you kind of talk about the health regimen. Normally, when a lot of our ultimate players would assume that disc golf's not as physically intensive as ultimate. So what do you do kind of from like a workout regimen standpoint, staying in shape for tournaments, or is it just playing disc golf?
Yeah, so typically before a tournament, I'll play about 2 or 3 rounds in a day on the course that we play for the tournament, and the round can be anywhere between 3 and 5 miles if you're not counting throwing extra the intensity of throwing extra shots as well. So actually in one single day, I'll walk between 7 and 12 miles on an average every single day during the week. And it's really easy to think on the outside that disc golf isn't a very high intensive endurance sport, although you're not out there running. And for the record, I do love ultimate. I think ultimate is an awesome sport. So I want to put that out there before anything. But there is a lot of walking involved in disc golf, and a lot of walking going between 7, 12 miles, or sometimes more than that. To stay in shape, though, I like to bike. I like to jump rope. Use a weighted jump rope. I like push-ups and pull-ups and anything that uses body weight compared to lifting weights and doing stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah, that's something somebody I saw an interview with Jeremy Colling. He mentioned like, yeah, you think of disc golfers as lazy, but all the top guys, all the top pros, they're in good shape. Like it's not a like lazy person sport if you want to be a professional at it for sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you have a little bit of an ultimate background. Do you want to cue some of our ultimate players in on that?
Yeah, so my short ultimate background follows up with one game playing at my high school, which was Bearden High School, Knoxville, Tennessee, and they started an ultimate league. I was highly interested, but I traveled basically every weekend or every other weekend during the month. I missed every single practice until I came to the last game. And actually, the only thing that I'm interested, I'm the type of ultimate player that likes to just go long and try to throw it to the end zone no matter what. And so I was the guy to throw it off, and when I threw it off, there was a tailwind. And as soon as I threw the disc, it sailed over the people's heads and they didn't know what to do after it sailed over their heads. I don't know if they knew the rules or anything like that. And I think I was in the game for 5 or 10 minutes, and then they said, yeah, maybe you should just go sit down.
See, as a cutter in college, you're the guy I want. I hate cutting deep and then nobody throwing it to me. That's the worst, especially as I get older. I only got so many bursts in me.
Yeah, when I play with people, it's like, okay, you go deep, and I'll throw it to you, and then if you drop it, we'll try again on the next possession.
So we had a few people asking a couple of questions. We've seen a lot of shakeup with sponsorship this year. A lot of people changing companies. So we had a couple people wondering why you decided to stay with Prodigy. Give us some positive things about Prodigy, why you want to hang around there.
Yeah, Prodigy to me is not just a sponsorship. It honestly is a lifelong venture to where I'm working on it to make it whatever I want to make it. And to be completely honest, I think a lot of people have been given the chance to make it whatever they want to make it, and it's really hard, to be honest. I think that when I started playing disc golf 10 years ago, there were 2 disc manufacturers, Innova and Discraft. And nowadays, I would say there's 15 or 20 that actually make discs, and it's a very competitive market out there. And there's also very competitive on getting professional disc golfers to wanting to throw and promote their own product, which means more money. Overall, it's an awesome deal. I think that I wouldn't say that it's a double-edged sword, which a lot of people have said that because there's more manufacturers, which means they want you to be sponsored by their company. I'm very committed to Prodigy to make it the best disc golf company in the entire world. I think that we have some very smart people on board. I think we have very good motives. We're in it for the sport and the growth and wanting to be the most professional company that's ever existed inside the sport of disc golf.
Tom Kennelly, who comments on our videos all the time, he wants to know, do you know how to bake a cake?
Do I know how to bake a cake? That's a great question for my wife, actually, who's doing my Facebook Live. And the answer is no, although I can read directions very well, and I can follow how to crack eggs and put together some flour.
All right. We've had this question come up for a lot of different things. Since Friction started making disc golf gloves, Carl Olson wants to know, do you ever wear gloves while playing?
I'm not going to lie, I've never seen a disc golf glove. I wouldn't say no to disc golf gloves, although I feel like disc golf is very based on the touch, so I don't know how I would feel about not being able to feel the disc the entire time in my hand. I don't know if I would want it to be grippier or slicker or anything like that. I've always thrown just, I guess, with my regular hand, I guess is the only way to put it.
For sure, yeah, we've talked about that a lot. Like, I'll glove my left hand when it's cold, but I'll usually just stick my right hand in my pocket and throw barehanded. We've got some of the Friction disc golf gloves in. We're going to check out. Me and Steve will post a video about that in a couple of weeks. So stay posted for that. You were saying? Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of funny actually because I only own one glove, and that's a left-handed glove. And whenever my right hand is cold during a tournament, I'll put the left-hand glove onto my right hand, so it looks like I have, 2 left hands, which is kind of funny. I just thought it was funny you mentioned that.
So one of our ultimate players, Joseph Bayshore, he has a question: is a hammer throw a thing in disc golf?
Yeah, hammer throw is a thing in disc golf, but although it's called a thumber or a tomahawk most of the time, and you can call it a hammer, you can call it a tomahawk. What do you call a hammer?
Tomahawks.
Okay.
Thumbers are American hammers.
American hammers.
Yep.
Okay, and is that a common throw in Ultimate?
You'll see hammers a lot of times for getting over zones that's held just like a flick, either like this or like that. Then a thumber is held with the thumb inside the rim of the disc. And the reason for doing that in disc golf is they curve opposite directions. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that I prefer to throw an Ultimate disc as a tomahawk. I feel like I can throw it pretty well because it holds the line going from left to right and it doesn't ever turn. In disc golf, I typically will never throw a tomahawk or thumber. And I don't know if it's because the disc is heavier or it doesn't really hold a long pan. I like to throw putters, which putters are the closest to an Ultimate type disc on that probably 11 o'clock throw, which is a little higher than normal for a tomahawk, and it goes out and then comes back to the right. You can kind of get it to slide on the ground sometimes. I enjoy throwing shots like that just for fun.
Yeah, and you will see some people throw tomahawks a lot, but most of the time, for especially somebody at Will's level, the tomahawk is going to be woods course, I'm in trouble, I've got nowhere else to go, I can go over the top of this bush kind of a shot. It's not normally a normal shot, but it's something that most disc golfers have in the tool chest in case they need to break it out. Remember to keep commenting, keep asking questions. We're going to do some giveaways. Evan, if you want to get me another giveaway winner, we're going to give away. Well, let's go and ask another question. We're going to say, what do you putt with? That's going to be one of our big questions. What putters are you putting with right now?
So since it's colder outside, I actually use that exact same disc that you have in your hand, a 200 series PA3, which is that's not just a coincidence. I do use the 200 series PA3 when it's cold outside. When it gets a little bit warmer and cold right now is in 25 or 30. I know that it's not Nebraska, to where you're getting the snow and a little more water outside because of the snow. But whenever it gets into the 40s or 50s, I go to 300 series, and 300 series is a little bit more firm, still has really good grip. And then the 350G from Prodigy is the really stiff and still has good grip, and I use that 95% of the year, 90% of the year, just because it's got good grip, it stays stiff. I don't like a putter that's really soft as a main putter. I like to have something that I can grip into and squeeze and not have it flex in my hand.
Agreed. I hate floppy putters. I just don't feel confident in them. All right, so Aaron Howell, you have won this Will Schusterick PA3. Hit us up on Facebook or email, and we'll get that out to you. Aaron Howell, this is your disc. All right, you've mentioned your wife a couple times. We've had a couple people ask. So how has your tournament travel changed since getting married? Has it changed at all, or?
Well, I got married the weekend after the USDGC, and then we went to Hawaii for almost 2 weeks. So I haven't played as many tournaments. I think I've played maybe one or two, but I've been with Trish now for 4 or 5 years, and she's sitting in front of me right now, which is kind of funny doing the Facebook Live. But she loves to come to tournaments, and she supports me fully as being a professional disc golfer.
Nice. Does she play with you at all?
Yeah, she does, actually. It was really funny because yesterday I called her. I said, what are you doing? I'm headed back to the house. And she said that she was on hole 18 of the disc golf course that's right by her house. And then she sent me a video of a hole that she almost aced.
Nice.
And I had no idea that she was even going to the disc golf course. So she does play a lot. She won intermediate women's at the Bowling Green AMs a few years ago. She's won the Music City Open in advanced women's a few years ago when I won Open. And I think that she could be a very competitive disc golfer if she ever got into it.
Nice. So we get a question from a lot of our followers of how to encourage the women in their life, wives, girlfriends, whatever, how to encourage them to play disc golf. I know personally my girlfriend is always nervous about playing when anyone else is around. She'll play with me, but she won't play if anyone else is going to be there. And she quickly gets frustrated that she can't throw as far as I do or things like that. And so what advice would you give to somebody wanting to encourage the women in their life to play more disc golf?
Bring one of their friends. I think that's one of the best things is to bring one of your wife or girlfriend's friends to go out there because they're going to be on the same level playing. Make sure they start with the right disc. Give them a lightweight putter, something easy to throw, and make sure you go to the right course as well. You don't want to go to some place that has a bunch of trees. You want to go to the shortest, most wide open place and focus on just having fun. I think one of the biggest things that people miss out on, and I can say this because I used to be that person, that when you're competitive, you want everybody else to be competitive and be really good and improve really fast and share your knowledge of the sport with them. But you got to think that when somebody steps up onto the course for the first time, you want them to enjoy the sport first and really take it to their own. And if they like it and they want to improve, then they like it and they want to improve. But first things first is you got to have fun, go out there, joke around. You might not even play the entire round, or you might not even play the entire course, but it's just kind of playing and going out there and kind of slowly getting started. I remember when Trish started playing, she never thought that she would throw any further. She never thought that she would want to play a tournament or anything like that. And she has my team Prodigy bag right now with a bag full of discs, and she talks about how if she loses a certain disc that, the game is over. That's my favorite disc. I have to have it. So it's funny how things change pretty quick.
Well, speaking of, we got a lot of people asking your favorite discs, favorite drivers. I'm going to ask the question this way. What 2 or 3 discs, if you didn't have that disc in your bag, would you be most screwed without? Besides my main putter, because of course the putter is the disc that you use every single hole.
I would say my M2, 750 M2, because it's my favorite mid-range. I always like a mid-range type disc to be able to have the overstable slight fade at the very end. And I think, to me, the way that I play, that's the most predictable and easiest and most consistent to throw.
Nice. Ben Thompson wants to know, if I'm a disc golfer that's thrown Innova or Discraft or whatever all my life, why should I switch to Prodigy? Why should I give Prodigy a try?
Yeah, and in my opinion, I think that Prodigy has the best plastic overall. Prodigy was built on a team of world champions and professionals that also have experience inside the game and sport of disc golf for the last 30 years. And the way that we view disc, the way that we view products, come from a very unique standpoint. I think that it's the most unique whenever it comes to the market and industry of disc golf. And the way that we've grown is very professional. It's very, well, I guess the word can be organic. And, it's always worth giving it a shot. It's very easy to understand. Our naming system goes very, very simple. You can pick up one disc and know in which direction you need to go. If an M4 is too overstable for you, then you need to go to the M5. Same thing that happens with a driver or a D series type disc, that as soon as you throw one, or you know that your max power is a certain distance, then you know what type of disc you need to throw.
So you kind of hinted at it a little bit since we're talking about it. How does the Prodigy naming system work? What does all those numbers and letters mean?
Yeah, and my favorite selling technique whenever it comes to Prodigy discs is I can actually explain to somebody at the table how Prodigy discs and the naming system work, and I can send them to the nearest store that sells our discs, and they can pick it out based on their power and playing without having to explain every single name and number of each disc. But the higher the number, whether it's a F7 or a D6, that number signifies the stability of the disc. So the higher you get is going to be less overstable and a lot better for a beginner. And the lower number on the disc is going to be more of a professional type stability. And then the lettering next to it signifies the grip of the disc, the speed, as a lot of people will call it, the rim width. So you can look at it and everything stands, it's all an acronym. So D for driver, F for fairway, M for mid-range, H for hybrid, A for approach, PA for putt and approach. And you can go off of that, and it's really easy to understand. As long as you know the numbers, at the higher you get, the less overstable. You kind of know what you're looking for pretty quick.
Yeah, and that is something that's really easy. It's a lot more difficult with all of the animal names of some of the other ones, or the justice system names. Like, you don't know what a disc is when you pick it up. Like, when you pick up a D2, you know it's a driver because it says D, and that does make it really simple.
Yeah, and I think it kind of goes both ways too, because it's very exciting when somebody comes out with a disc and it has a special name, because you don't really know what the disc is or how it's going to fly or what it's going to feel like and stuff like that. With Prodigy, if we were going to come out with a new disc in the D series, you know, that's the higher, and if it was a D6 like the disc we just came out with, you already know that it's going to be an understable type driver for the more beginner type arm speed.
Gotcha. So along with that, if somebody was brand new to disc golf, has never played before, what disc would you suggest? What 2 or 3 discs would you suggest they get from Prodigy to start with?
I always suggest the PA4 and the M4 in the 300 series plastic. And the 300 series plastic, 300 or 200 series plastic is the type of plastic that's going to get beat up the more that you throw it. So when he goes out or she goes out to start playing and that disc starts to get beat up and a little bit less overstable, it's a little bit easier for them to throw. And the number one thing that a lot of beginners make a mistake on is they go buy a disc that is too overstable or too fast or too heavy for the arm speed that they have. And the PA4 and M4, maybe in a little bit of a lighter weight, so maybe around the 160s to 150 grams, I think is the best 2 beginner discs that somebody can throw.
And I agree. Like, we have a lot of people come in and like they see the drivers that you're throwing, or like they saw Simon Lasatte's newest YouTube video where he crushed something 800 feet, and they want to grab that driver thinking they're going to throw it just like him. And a lot of times that just gets you into trouble, has you have bad forms, you're trying to crank it over too much. It just doesn't work out. So keeping something that you can actually throw well is really important. So speaking of, we're going to give away one of Will's PA4s to an Instagram commenter. So this PA4 is going to Kelly. Oh, I'm getting a change. Kelly, you're going to win something else. We'll get back to you. Anyway, keep commenting, keep asking questions, share this video so we get more people on it. This looks like CS clips or ES clips. CS.clips. On Instagram, you have won this Will Schusterick PA4. Again, for those of you who joined us since we started, we're the official pro shop for Will Schusterick, professional disc golfer. You can get any of the apparel you see we showed you earlier. We've got several options. You can get Will's. A lot of the discs that Will talks about that are in his bag are listed under his page. So you can go ahead and, hey, there's Will's wife. Somebody was asking about her. You can get any of the Will Schusterick stuff that we sell on our page. Check it out there under our disc golf section. And we're going to keep going with the interview. Okay, so did that one. Somebody wants to know, who's your favorite superhero?
Man, that's pretty good. So as a kid, I always loved Spider-Man, so that's what I'm going to go with.
Alrighty. So what got you into disc golf to start with?
I played basketball and baseball growing up. I was always competitive. I was never the type of kid taller or bigger than all of the other ones. So baseball and basketball, typically those kids, whenever going into high school, kind of race to the top, or they take it and it becomes their life. Whenever you wake up in the morning, you go play baseball, or you wake up in the morning, you go play basketball, you go to workouts. Me, whenever I was a freshman or sophomore in high school, I played disc golf. I wasn't very, I was somewhat active on the tournament scene. I think I played between 20 and 25 tournaments, and they were more local. But the baseball and basketball kind of died out, and I had to find somebody or find somewhere to go play and be competitive. And my dad actually took me to the disc golf course one day, and we had one disc. And I remember making a sidearm shot from about 100 feet out with a DX Valkyrie. And I just made it dead center, and I remember my dad wasn't looking. And I stood up, like every other person, I put my hands up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just made it. He's like, no, you didn't. Whatever, you just ran up there and dropped it in or something like that. And, but that was the first experience that I had playing disc golf. And then I had a friend in high school named Brad Bartram. We got together and played probably 4 rounds every single day in Knoxville, Tennessee at Victor Ashe Park. And that's basically how I got better, was playing every single day. We watched the 2003 United States Disc Golf VHS and watched people like Cam Todd and Steve Brinster play, and then we watched the Barry Schultz and Ken Climo playoff, and a lot of disc golfers know that was one of the greatest playoffs of all time because it was the two best players in the entire world going head-to-head for the biggest, most prestigious title at the time. So I watched pros growing up, and I think that hopefully I could be one of those people to a kid growing up and playing disc golf.
All right, so Sean S. Smith, he wants to know, who wins, Packers or Falcons?
Packers or Falcons? Man, I don't want the Falcons to fail like they do every year. So I'm gonna somewhat hope that the Falcons do well, because otherwise I think they're going to completely rebuild and drop everybody. But Aaron Rodgers is pretty dang good, so I think it's going to be a great game, and the Packers win.
Alrighty, Austin Kyle Gage wants to know, do you ever have tournament jitters, and how do you get over those?
I get tournament jitters every tournament that I play, even if it's a really small tournament, just because I want to do well. And I practice a lot to do well in those events, and you want to have that practice pay off. But at the same time, I also have a lot of fun, relax, listen to music, joke around, and really you just got to wake up just really loving the sport of disc golf, because you're not going to be able to go out there and be stressed out and play well. You're going to be able to go out there and play the best whenever you're relaxing and having fun, and you're just being yourself.
And so kind of along with that, all of disc golfers know that everybody has a bad round every once in a while. How do you, and most tournaments are multiple rounds, especially the big events are 6-7 rounds sometimes. What do you do to bounce back mentally from a really terrible round?
That's something that's really hard to even say, because it's something easy to talk about but hard to do. And one of the hardest tournaments that I ever had to bounce back from was the 2013 USDGC. And I had won the previous year in 2012. And coming into 2013, I think was one of the first years with Prodigy. And we were coming down the stretch. I think I was 4 strokes back every single round. And then I was tied for the lead with Steve Brincher going into hole 17 at Winthrop Gold. And everybody knows the notorious hole 17. And I actually ended up taking a 7. And I went from going tied for the lead to actually 8th place in the tournament, which was a big drop. Also, obviously didn't really lose any money because I didn't have any to begin with. So that was one of the hardest ones that I ever could remember, even though it's been a few years. And I'll never forget how upset I was after that couple holes, honestly. But to bounce back, the best thing to do is to know that there's another one that's coming up. And looking back on it, that's probably was the motivation that helped me win in 2014 at the USDGC, which was my 3rd title in Winthrop. So, everything comes back around. The world has a way of evening itself out.
That's a good answer. Amber Stevens, she wants to know how her son can get his high school to try and add disc golf to their sports program. Any advice for him there?
Yeah, and really the best thing to do is to have a really good spokesperson or really get some good information on disc golf. There's a lot of very good qualities that go along with the sport of disc golf that everybody can benefit from. I think that disc golf was one of the very few unique sports that guys, girls, older, younger can compete in and really all enjoy at the same time. It's not a team sport where somebody's going to be sitting on the bench watching somebody else do well. You're going to be out there. Everybody has a chance to throw off of every tee. Everybody has a chance to make a shot from a longer or shorter distance. And it's just a matter of kind of promoting it and showing it the right way. And I think disc golf is a hit whenever it comes to younger kids in schools.
All righty. Again, everybody, we're still live here with disc golf pro Will Schusterick. Again, we operate his pro store. You can check out all the apparel we're showing off in this video, the Will Schusterick custom putters, and any Prodigy discs you can find on our website. We're getting a restock with Prodigy in tomorrow, I think. So make sure to check all that stuff out. We're going to keep giving away stuff throughout the video. If you keep commenting on Instagram and on Facebook, you can check all that out. We are going to give away, I just lost that. There it is. This shirt, Will Schusterick's new logo he did debuted last year, is going to Kelly Messimer. So Kelly Messimer, get a hold of us on our Facebook or Instagram or wherever you are, and you can get this this shirt sent to you.
Congrats, Kelly.
Alrighty. So what do you do when you're not golfing? What do you spend your time doing when you're not on the course?
It's funny because I'm looking at Trish right now, and she's last because I don't really do a whole lot besides disc golf. I work really hard on Prodigy, on creating it and building it and stuff like that. And whenever we're not doing disc golf related stuff, I think that Trish and I really just hang out, go to movies. You could call me a little bit of a foodie. I do love good food. I always search the local places in different towns that I go to. I love to go hiking whenever we get a chance and check out different, kind of aesthetically pleasing views, whether it comes to the Grand Canyon, which hopefully I can go to this year, and other things like that. I love to travel as well. I typically travel between 50 and 60,000 miles a year. So whenever I actually get home and see my dogs and my wife in the home that I live at, it feels kind of weird actually being in the same place for longer than a couple days. So I do love to travel. It's hard for me not to travel, actually.
Nice. So you said you're a foodie. Are there any cities or events that you specifically put on your calendar because you want to go to a restaurant in those cities?
Oh man, I know that there are, and they probably coordinate just a little bit to where it's bigger tournaments that has really good food. Nashville also has some very, very good food places, and it's hard for me not to just tell people to go to 100 restaurants whenever they visit for a weekend. Portland has some fantastic food. I think a lot of people know that. I can't think of anybody. Oh, actually, one of my favorite places is in Vermont, the Smuggler's Notch. There's actually a couple really good hometown restaurants around in that area that's surprisingly very good.
Nice. Chuck Collins and a couple other people, Billy Kosnick, want to know, do you think disc golf would ever be added to the Olympics?
I don't know what it takes to become an Olympic sport. I know that they made a big jump a few months ago when it came to adding flying disc sports into the Olympic Committee to where it goes up to approval. I know that the Olympic Committee is looking for up-and-coming young sports to entice the younger generation to start paying attention to the Olympics, start hoping to get people more involved and whatnot. I think disc golf obviously is one of the fastest growing sports, along with ultimate, that I would love to see it in the games, whether it comes to distance, accuracy, golf, all those kinds of things. I think it was a big step to get golf back into the Olympics this year. I was very happy to see that, and I think it's a sport that all countries can compete in, and I would love to see everybody compete at the same time.
I think you made a good point. Getting golf back in the Olympics is a big step because it's kind of hard to justify getting disc golf in the Olympics when the much more popular ball golf isn't there. So that might actually help us out. Chuck, thanks for your question. You actually win this Will Schusterick trucker hat that you can also get on our site. Remember, keep commenting, keep asking questions, and you might win something as well. So Chuck, hit us up on Facebook or Instagram, and we will get that hat out to you. All right, what are some of the other good questions? We got a lot of disc golf collectors who are kind of curious of what are some of the rare, like high-value Prodigy discs that they should be looking for.
A lot of the discs that have the big star stamp, I know those are highly collectible just because of the logo, how simple and unique it is. So I think that any disc that has that big star stamp on there is very collectible. Some of the early discs from Prodigy that came out from kind of the older players that were testing them out before the company actually came out, those are very highly collectible. I think those in the future will be some of the more collectible discs. Although the collectible market, if you follow it all, goes up and down across the entire year. It's pretty funny. But every now and then a disc will come up that, in my opinion, isn't a very collectible disc, and all of a sudden it will become collectible because it's very popular among consumers, or very popular because it flies very well. So it's kind of interesting for me to see the collectible market change across a year.
For real. Let's see. What else we have? Got to ask here. Had a good one somewhere. Where'd it go? Somebody earlier wanted to know, who's your biggest rival on the tour?
My biggest rival? That's pretty tough. I know that my wife is funny.
Who'd your wife say?
My wife told me that it's myself. My biggest rival is myself, because I hold myself back sometimes. I know that I hold myself back sometimes. I know that a lot of people are wanting me to say either Paul or Ricky are my biggest rivals out there, and I don't look as anybody as a rival or somebody that I want to beat whenever I start playing a tournament. And if I can go out into a tournament and succeed by not getting overcome with my own emotions, and I feel like I've won the tournament, to be honest. That might sound kind of lame and corny and stuff, but it's actually really hard to be very competitive and not winning, and also within your own self, and keep your emotions under control.
All right, Brian Needham is asking a similar question. Who do you like playing with the most? Who are you excited to see on your card at a tournament?
I would say there's a lot of people that I really like to play the most. Somebody that comes to my head immediately is Steve Brainster. I really do enjoy playing with Steve. He's a very even-keeled type player. He wants you to succeed. He wants you to do well. I like to be able to keep kind of an open conversation about other topics, whether it's outside of the disc golf world. Steve also kind of understands what it does whenever you are talking about disc golf on the course, and you don't really talk about a hole 7 when you're on hole 2 and you're talking about the out of bounds, how close it is to the basket, or how strong the wind is and you haven't even thrown yet, or anything like that. And whenever I play with somebody who doesn't make a lot of excuses, that you excuses about the wind or the temperature or the conditions, and they're just kind of accepting it and fighting it because everybody on the course is dealing with the same stuff. To me, that's enjoyable. It's enjoyable to be competitive and a little bit relaxed at the same time.
So Kelly Messimer, the girl who won one of our discs earlier, she wants to know: would you rather play frisbee with Yoda or Big Bird?
Ooh, Yoda for sure. I'm actually kind of a big Star Wars fan.
Nice. I think I know the answer to this question, but what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you at an event?
What is your guess, since you already know the answer?
Go ahead. We'll see.
No, I want to hear yours first.
My guess is going to be, I think it was the 2013 Memorial.
Got it.
With you and where you forgot to write down your score and ended up tied with Paul.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell the story.
So the Memorial 2013, coming down the stretch, there was honestly a little mix-up with the score on the last hole to find out where Paul was compared to where I was, and I didn't know what Paul was shooting because he shot the course record, I think, which was 39, and I was shooting a 42 or 43 at the time. From what I remember, is 42 or 43, which are two very, very hot scores. Like, it's most of the time 42 or 43 is the hot round, and Paul was shooting a 39, which is one of the best rounds of all time. So coming down the stretch on the last hole, we kind of had to figure out where I was at. And then I remember parking the hole and having a tap in for birdie and knowing that I had to have won, and I won by 2. And so there was a lot of commotion, and it was the first year that Prodigy came out, and there was a lot of talk, a little bit of backlash at the time about Prodigy came out because we sponsored all the top players in the world. So whenever I won the biggest tournament of the beginning of the season, there was a lot of emotions and people stormed the green and rushed, and everybody was all excited and jumping around, and it was really cool, exciting moment. And it was actually, I think, one of the first national tour events that I ever won. And then the camera people came down there and they did an interview, and then I counted up my score after that. And I remember counting up my score. I didn't write anything in. I had everybody check it first. And then I remember grabbing the scorecard, and instead of going and writing my score, I grabbed it and just turned it in because I remember everybody checked my score. And I said, hey, I got 42 or 43. I can't remember exactly what it was. Got it, ran up there, turned it in. And they're like, hey, you got to run over there and go do another interview. And as soon as I went over there, I remember standing next to David Greenwell. And he was talking about how I played and how Paul had an amazing round. And he said, well, you actually need to go back to the scores tent and they need to tell you something. And when they told me, I was pretty blown away. And they showed me the scorecard. I didn't actually, it had nothing to do with, I heard a lot of rumors about I didn't sign my scorecard. I didn't count it right or anything like that. But I physically didn't write the number 4-2 or 4-3. I can't remember exactly what I shot. And then we went to the playoff, and it only took to hole one. Hole one is across the water the entire way, 380 feet, and there's typically a little bit of a wind. And I remember Paul went first, went long by about 40 feet, which is a pretty safe play. Gives you a chance to at least try to make a putt coming back. And then I remember just parking that hole, which was also a very, very strong emotional moment.
Yeah, I remember seeing that video a couple years ago, and it was crazy. It's one of the most interesting disc golf moments that's been televised for sure.
I remember that I remember that day, moment by moment. Like, I remember the moment that he told me, walking across the parking lot, because it's kind of a long walk from 18 all the way back to hole one. I remember practice putting on the basket right before he got there.
So somebody, kind of along the same line, a couple people asked, what's the wildest thing that's ever happened to one of your discs in flight?
Wildest thing that has happened to one of my discs. I've actually only aced off of a tree one time. And even though that sounds like only one time, I've heard of a lot of people who have hit trees and kicked off of rocks and done whatever, but I've aced off of a tree to where I threw it through a line of trees that looked like this. And then it went straight through, and all of a sudden it hit a tree and then went right into the basket. But that's the first thing that comes to my mind. I'm sure there's some other things that I've never even thought of that I thought were crazy that just I can't remember.
Ben Bissler wants to know if you listen to music while you play, and then if so, what kind of music do you listen to?
I like to listen to music during my practice rounds, or if I'm just going out for a casual round or field work. And I like to listen to all kinds of music. And I listen to country. Trish got me into listening to country. I like to listen to rap and hip hop and old rap and hip hop. Anything like that that's got a good beat, it'll probably be in my head.
All right. And remember, keep commenting, sharing this video, so we can get more followers, more people watching. We're with Disc Golf Pro Will Schusterick. If you comment, you have a chance to win some of his gear that we have on our online store. From one of our Instagram winners, Billingsley Jordan, you're going to win the Schusterick America shirt that's behind Will there. Billingsley Jordan, if you hit us up on Instagram or Facebook, we can get that shirt out to you. It's kind of fun at big events when you see all these top pros. I know that Wide Open I was talking about earlier, I kind of was nerding out, meeting Ken Climo and all those people. What are some do's and don'ts for approaching your favorite pro at an event?
Do's and don'ts. I would say do's is during a practice round, I think that it's fair to walk up and ask for a signature, talk to them, ask them a couple questions. I would say a don't is to just casually try to join their group whenever it's a day or two before a tournament. I think that as long as you talk to the pro and you say, hey, is it cool if I join you guys for a round? I would love to play with you. But I think one of the big things, in my opinion anyways, is when a pro goes out a day before a tournament and there's a lot of players at the tournament and you're playing with 6 or 7 people. And a lot of my friends know that I just don't like to play with 6 or 7 people. The day before a tournament, I like to play with one other, maybe 2 other people who are there trying to learn the course, get ready for the tournament. And me personally, I love to play with local players and kind of reach out and meet new people as much as I can. But the day before the tournament, I try to keep it to myself. Anybody would want to sign an autograph, even if they're walking from hole to hole. To be honest, I think that's one of the things that disc golf has to hang on to and keep, is that it's very open to people walking up and being nice and being accepting, because nobody wants to be involved with the sport to where there's a bunch of ego maniacs, I guess is the best word.
Yeah, and that's something I found going to a lot of big events is like, there's maybe 1 or 2 of those top pros, and usually it's only if they had a bad day that are like kind of unapproachable, and sometimes just their personality. Some of you guys are quieter, but I feel like, especially like you and Big Germ and several of those other guys are like at players' parties are really easy to approach and talk to, and I think that's really great for the sport. Like most of these are just normal people. Like some people get all nervous, like, oh, it's Paul Macbeth, but you go up and talk to them, it's usually just fine. Like they're just normal people. So Billy Joe Costing's asked a couple questions. What do you do for practice other than just playing rounds? Like what do you do for putting and just getting better at disc golf in general?
To be a little bit more specific on like brain stuff, I like to get as many putters as I have and go to about 20 feet. This is what I do pretty standard, and try to see how many I can make in a row. And that's something that I will do at least once or twice a day. Right now I have my basket inside of my garage just because of the temperature, and it's been raining a lot. And my basket's probably only 15 to 18 feet away, but I have 45 putters. And I'll try to make that at least 2 or 3 times go around. So I'll try to make 130 in a row from 15 feet. And it seems pretty short, 15 feet, but honestly, whenever I go out to the course and if I haven't been able to throw or to be able to get a lot of putting practice, it actually really helps whenever it comes to the touch and the feel and like the full stroke of putting. Whenever it comes to driving and upshots and stuff like that, it really is all about timing for me. And as long as I go out to a field and I throw my bag 3 or 4 times, which takes me about 45 minutes, maybe a little bit less counting picking up my discs, I really feel in sync, and I guess my drive feels really well whenever I do stuff like that. And I try to do that at least once a day. I also don't during this time of the year, I like to take a little bit time off and do a little bit more workouts and stretching compared to getting ready for the year.
So if I'm an up-and-coming disc golfer, how do I go about getting noticed by sponsors and getting sponsored by a disc company like Prodigy?
Yeah, and that's something that I do get asked a lot, and I think it's very good for a lot of people to know that to get a sponsorship from a disc golf company, it takes a little bit more than it takes passion, for sure. You have to show that you're very passionate about disc golf, something that you put into, something that you're a good image as well. So whenever they go to your social media pages, you need to have pictures of discs, or pictures of playing disc golf videos, posting them on YouTube, that type of thing. One of the quickest things that turns me off from sponsoring the player is going to their social media pages and seeing something that's not not something that we want to stand behind. And I would say that's one of the main things. Social media presence is good. A positive social media presence, staying in contact with your local club. There's a lot of players who are not on social media, and that's not a big deal. But being out there in the public eye and talking and being involved is good. It's actually a little bit more important than being a great player. I think that a great player makes up for a lot of it, but also you have to be able to go out and stay in contact with your local leagues and clubs and kind of be productive in all-around disc golf.
And so along with that question, if I want to get sponsored by Prodigy, should I start throwing all Prodigy discs, or should I keep throwing my mitts bag until I get sponsored by Prodigy? Is that more likely or less likely to make you sponsor a player?
I think I don't think that goes either way. I think that it definitely means something to have somebody who is committed to the brand already, saying that I love your product, I've been following your company for this long, I'm rated, whatever it is, I live here, I really would love to support you guys. I have supported you guys already, just wondering if we can work together in the future. And I don't know if just by saying that I'm going to get another 20 messages from people talking to me about how they throw all Prodigy, and I love getting messages about people saying that they throw all Prodigy, because that's belief in that we're doing something positive and professional in the sport. And we would love to sponsor every single player that throws all Prodigy, and it's not a possible thing to sponsor everybody who plays disc golf, although we love to support, and throwing all Prodigy is going to help you. It's not going to hurt you. Not throwing all Prodigy, it doesn't help or hurt you at all.
And then as we wrap up here, what celebrity would you most want to play disc golf with?
Oh man, that's pretty tough. Man, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Tennessee guy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, we got one more giveaway to do here in just a couple seconds. So keep commenting. You can get in on that. You got anything exciting at Prodigy that we need to know about that's going to come up in the next couple of months?
There's a lot of stuff that I can't talk about, of course, but we just released our sponsor team, which is always an exciting time of year. We just came out with our own apparel line that is designed for disc golf. It's called the Ace Top, and a couple other pieces of Prodigy clothing as well. And basically what it is, it's what? Oh yeah. And basically what it is a shirt that doesn't have the stitching right here, to where it actually allows for a lot more shoulder movement. So it's a one-piece clothing, one-piece fabric that goes right here, because there's a lot of times when you're playing and it's hot outside that you're pulling up your sleeve right here. And every single one of you guys, I'm sure, has this little stitching that goes right here that sometimes is kind of bothering. Sometimes, whenever you're on the course, and that's something that we actually designed and came out specifically for disc golf. I think that whenever somebody tries it out, they'll know what we're talking about. It's great quality, and we're coming out with a lot of other course accessories type stuff, to where we can be the most professional disc golf company out there.
All right, we got our last giveaway now. This polo right here that I'm wearing, this really nice polo. It's got kind of the same thing Will was talking about, little stitchings farther back in the shoulder. It's got a nice Prodigy logo on the back. That is going to Quinn Kelly. So Quinn Kelly, hit us up on social media or email, and we'll get that out to you. Will, where can people find you next couple weeks tournament-wise?
So I'm going to be in Opelika, Alabama this weekend. This is a 1 day on Saturday, and then I'm actually running a 2-day B tier in Nashville at the Nashboro Golf Club. And I'm designing two temporary courses to go out there. Right now, I think we have over 70 people signed up. Every amateur that signs up gets a Prodigy BP3 as a player's pack.
Which is a great bag.
The pros, we have, I think we have almost 25 pros right now. The course is going to be very nice. One's going to be a little bit shorter. One's going to be a little bit longer. And the pros are going to play the long course twice. The amps are going to play the short course twice and the long course once. And it's going to be a great time. I'm excited for it. It's the first PDGA event that I put together, and I'm excited to build on something in Nashville that I hope can bring a couple hundred players every single beginning of the year.
Just so you know, a lot of your Branson people are pushing you to go to the Taneycomo Throwdown in April. Just going to put that out there.
I got a message from Jason, actually. He asked me if I was going to the Bowling Green Amateur Championships or coming to his A tier. And I really wish that I could come to his A tier, but unfortunately I go to Bowling Green AMs every single year.
It's another good tournament. We won't hold that against you too much. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us. This has been our interview with disc golf pro Will Schusterick. Again, the disc store is his official pro shop, so you check out any of the stuff we gave away during this video, a lot of apparel, and some Will Schusterick custom discs. Check that out on our website, and we hope to see you guys in our next live video. Thanks for joining us.